Welcome to Show Me Something Wrong,
where each episode one of us chooses a movie to watch that the other hasn't seen. The movie is often obscure, usually odd, and always wrong.
I'm Dave.
And I'm Guy, and today I've chosen the movie, and it is... It is Tabetai, aka I Wanna Eat You.
Is it also called just I Want to Eat? It seems to be like that's what people have translated it to online.
Yeah, well, I think the U is implied. Yeah. Tabetai in Japanese, it literally just means I want to eat.
Yeah.
I think the U is implied. I could be wrong, but that's what I'm taking it as.
I think it's pretty clear that it should be in there.
Yeah, I think, saying that, I think on Letterboxd it is just I want to eat, right?
All right. So maybe I'll put it up as I want to eat, but just pretend there's a U in there.
Just pretend there's a U. So, today, I shouldn't sound so, enthusiastic. It's going to be a pretty grim episode. Today, we will be talking about real-life murder, rape, cannibalism, necrophilia, and bestiality.
Bestiality as well.
Just a dash of bestiality.
Okay, just a sprinkle.
A sprinkle of beast. It's the cherry on top.
Oh, God.
So those with a sensitive stomach, though I don't think we have any of those listeners, may just, I don't know, want to tune out. But I say, hang on, because it's going to be a pretty fun episode. No, it's not. I take that back. It's not fun. But I put a lot of work into it, so listen to it. So
this is a guy we've brought up a lot of times, but we always hold back from talking about too much. So it's finally time to spend however many hours we're going to spend talking about him.
Oh, yeah. I went full on with my research on this.
God.
So, yeah, as you said, we've spoken about this fella plenty of times. And that is, of course...
Issei Sagawa.
So, yeah, he's been on the podcast, not on it himself, because he's dead, a few times.
In Soft
Skin,
is that
he
where
was
we
in
mostly
that, yeah.
talked about him, but we didn't go into too much detail.
No.
And we mentioned him in our Tokyo minis, I believe,
we did,
as well.
Yeah, and I think even before that, when we talked, maybe it was in the... Red Account My Bloody Angel episode where we talked about real life murders.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, I think he came up in there.
He had to have, yeah.
He had to have. So he's been on a few times. So this is the first episode where we're really dedicating an entire episode to the man himself, Issei Sagawa. He's not a nice man. I feel like the way I'm speaking about him is kind of like a celebratory post. This guy's he's a bad fella.
He's a nightmare.
Yeah.
I don't know if you were already planning to talk about this, but when did you first become aware of Sagawa Issei? Do you remember your first interaction with him?
It may have been. I remember when I was probably about 20 or so, I was watching a few movies based off real life cases, and I kind of went through a few of them. So I did There's a Secret in My Soup, and the Hello Kitty murders, of course, the Untold Story, that kind of stuff. And I think he would have come up on lists, and I remember around that time I watched The Bedroom.
Right.
Yeah. And it was like, oh, this guy is the person that did this horrible thing. And that was probably my first introduction to Issei Sagawa. Yeah, how about yourself?
Yeah, mine was... Yeah, I remember watching The Bedroom, and he has a small role in that, but I remember just thinking, who the fuck is this guy? Because he's a very... distinctive.
He's a funny looking man, isn't he?
Extremely unpleasant looking man. He looks like a fucking grim baby or something.
I've made a note about that. He looks like a grim baby.
And especially in this film, he spends a lot of time in big, oversized Y fronts, so he looks like a big baby in a nappy with an old man's face.
That is completely accurate description.
Yeah, I remember seeing him in that and just being quite like who is this guy? And confused by him, and then looking him up, and then I spoke to Tana about him, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I remember him being on TV in Japan," and I just couldn't believe that a man who did the things that he has done had become a celebrity in Japan, and it kind of it broke my brain and horrified me. Yeah,
that's it's funny you say that because I just assumed that everyone knew who he was.
Right.
Like Japanese people. And,
Yeah.
People, I guess, people into horror and this and that. I think maybe he may even be more well-known outside of Japan in, like, horror circles and stuff.
I think he is, because weirdly enough, yesterday I was taking a Japanese lesson online, and it's a relatively new teacher. She's a very normal woman, right? And she's like, what are you going to do tomorrow? I'm like, oh, I'm recording a podcast. And she's like, oh, yeah, you do a podcast about movies. What movie is it about? And I'm like, you don't want to know. And she's like, no, tell me. And I'm like, oh, it's about a really horrible guy called Issei Sagawa. And she had no idea who he was. And she gets out a phone and starts searching. I'm like, please don't. Please don't. So I don't know if I'll be doing any more lessons with her.
Yeah, she's probably going to do her homework, come back to the next lesson, and be like someone else. She's not accepting new lessons anymore. Yeah, I went out for a drink the other day with it was with Natsuki and her partner, who are not your average folk. They're quite into the underground movies and stuff, and music, movies. I think they know a lot of fucked up stuff as well. So I was kind of just brought up in conversation. They were like, "What?
Really?"
Yeah, and I was like, "Say Sagawa, like, you know the guy?" And they were like, "Nope." And then the Kuma, the guy, he was just like, now you mention it, it kind of rings a bell. Wow. But for me, I kind of just thought it was common knowledge for people of, like, our generation, maybe a little bit older.
Yeah, I thought so too. But I guess maybe it is in the West that he's better known.
Maybe.
Probably because of the Vice documentary and stuff like that. Yeah.
And the French one that came out. Yeah. Which we'll get into. But first, let's talk about the man himself. So, a brief history of Issei Sagawa. Who is he? What did he do to land him on this podcast? So, Issei Sagawa, born in 1949, he was born prematurely. Probably why he still looked like a big old grim baby, as you said, even as he was an old man. Apparently, he was so premature that he was small enough to fit into the palm of his father's hand, is what reports say.
What?
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's what reports say. Pretty grim.
That's gross.
He immediately developed, how do you say this? Enteritis, a disease of the small intestines. And he would later go on to suffer from diabetes. He also had a stroke later on in life. He was basically a very weak and unhealthy man from birth until death, which was one of the motifs that led to his killing. Now, according to Wikipedia, so not the most reliable of sources, but according to Wikipedia, the desires to eat human flesh first came when he was an elementary school student in the first grade, and after seeing one of his classmates, a male classmate's thigh, he thought, well, that looks pretty delicious. And that was where the urge to eat human flesh came from. Wow. That's according to Wikipedia. However, the movie we're talking about today says something different, which we'll get into.
Right.
When he was very young, he already had these cannibalistic urges. As a youth, he also committed bestiality on his dog.
Oof.
So all in all, not a very good guy.
Was his dog's name Sandy?
I wonder if he liked Dog and Arn. Yeah.
Oh, that's fucking horrible.
I know.
Oh, he fucked his dog.
Wow.
As if he couldn't get any worse.
Yeah.
He fucked his dog.
I don't know to what degree the bestiality extended until, but he did something.
Do you know what type of dog it was?
It was an old English sheepdog.
Oh, no. Oh, dear.
So far, we're not painting the best of pictures, but that's all right. He deserves it. Now, the murder and cannibalism incident that he is very well known for, that wasn't the first time he tried to kill and eat someone.
Really?
He had actually attempted it many times before this. Huh. So at the age of 24, whilst attending Wako University in Tokyo, he followed a tall German woman home.
Right.
Now, you know the cannibal incident, the actual cannibal murder incident. So you can probably paint a picture. He likes Western women.
He likes Western women and tall women as well. And he is like 5 foot or something like that.
He's 4 foot 9.
Oh, yeah. Really?
He's fucking tiny.
He's a tiny little man, and I think the woman that he killed, she was Dutch,
Yeah.
right? And from memory, she was like about 6 foot or maybe just under 6 foot. So he clearly has a thing, or at least had a thing for Western tall women.
Which was another motif for his murders.
Right.
Yeah, which we'll get into. So yeah, he followed this German woman home, broke into her apartment while she was sleeping. Now, his intentions, now this is how fucking dumb this guy is.
Right.
So his intentions was to slice off a part of her buttocks while she was sleeping.
Right.
And apparently sneak away with some of her flesh and eat it.
Like, she wouldn't wake up?
Right.
Oh, God.
Now, of course, she woke up.
Yeah.
Because I don't think you can have a part of your bum sliced off without waking up. She fought him off, pushed him down to the ground, held him down until the police came, and he didn't manage to do anything.
Right.
And he basically got charged with rape. He didn't confess what his intentions were, that he was trying to eat or cut some of her flesh off. So he basically just got charged with rape. But he has a very rich daddy who paid the lady off, and the case was eventually thrown out. Jump forward to 1977. So 4 years later, he's now 28. He moves to France to pursue a PhD in literature. So he was very academic, actually. Because he was so physically weak, he couldn't really do any sports or kind of like physically tiring activities. So he was very much a bookworm, I guess you could say.
He was into poetry, right? And jumping ahead a bit, but I think that's how he attracted the woman that he ended up killing. Was some kind of poetry connection from memory.
There was, yeah. But he spoke like multiple languages. He wasn't an idiot.
Yeah, his English is pretty good.
Yeah. So he went to France to pursue a PhD in literature, and apparently, whilst he was residing in Paris, almost every night he would bring a prostitute home. Every night. Every night.
He's a rich guy.
Well, his dad is a rich guy.
Yeah.
And it was not to fuck, it was to kill and eat them.
Right.
So every single day he was like, tonight's going to be the night. And he's going to get this prostitute and he's going to shoot them, kill them, and eat them. But he never could kind of follow through with it.
Right.
And this went on and on and on until June 11th, 1981. So now he's 32 years old. So again, 4 years later, he invited a Dutch classmate, Renée Hartevelt, over to his apartment under the pretext of, as you said, translating poetry for a school assignment. So apparently he had chosen Renée Hartevelt for her health and beauty, characteristics that he felt he lacked. As we spoke before, he was a very weak, small, ugly guy. So he was, he was only 4'9", and she was 5'10", 25 years old. And he essentially said he wanted to absorb her energy. He felt like if he had killed and consumed this tall, beautiful woman, he would be able to absorb their beauty and energy. Right. Pretty fucking nuts.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for Renée Hartevelt, unlike all the previous prostitutes that he had invited back, this time he was able to follow through with his intentions. He shot her in the neck with a rifle, so killing her instantly. At that time, he actually passed out. After he killed her, he passed out, fell to the floor. When he woke up, then he actually raped her corpse, and then he went to eat her. Now, human flesh, the skin, is pretty tough. It's not something you can just penetrate with your teeth, for the most part. He tried to bite into her, but he couldn't penetrate the skin, so he went out, bought a butcher knife. Then he spent the next, I don't know how many days actually, consuming various parts of her body, eating most of her breasts, face, buttocks, feet, thighs, and neck, either raw or cooked, and apparently even swallowing her clitoris whole.
Wasn't he also taking photos of all this as well?
He did. He documented the entire thing.
Oof.
Yeah. Now, of course, a dead human body is going to start to rot. So after he had eaten the parts he wanted to and could eat, he basically had these remains that were starting to decompose. So he attempted to dump the remains in a park in Paris by stuffing them into a suitcase. He was supposed to dump them into a lake, but through his own words, he's an idiot. And he didn't take into consideration how light it would be in the summer. So he went out in broad daylight with 2 suitcases.
Oh, my God.
Stuffed with a half-eaten corpse. And tried to dispose of it into the lake. Got caught. Someone basically found the suitcases. They were somehow slightly away from him at the time. I think he tried to dump them, but he couldn't dump them successfully. Someone opened them, found the dead body. And then there were eyewitnesses, there were people screaming, there was, mass panic. He ran away and he was arrested 4 days later. After that, he was held for 2 years awaiting trial. And in France, he was found legally insane and unfit to stand trial by the French judge. He was ordered to be held indefinitely in a mental institution. Now, this was, of course, sensational news. And even though he was in a French hospital, they didn't want him there. They were just, it was too much. There was too much pressure from the French public. Like, he's Japanese, send him back to Japan. We don't want him in this country. So they did. They got rid of him. They sent him back to Japan. And that was when he was re-examined. And all the psychologists in Japan declared him sane and found that the motives were purely sexual and that he didn't need to be in a mental institute. But unfortunately, back in France, the case had already been closed. And that's where we got this ridiculous, what do you want to call it, loophole or...
legal loophole kind of thing, yeah.
So the French court had already dismissed the case, dropped the charges. The documents were sealed and they were not given to the Japanese authorities because the Japanese authorities cleared him completely insane. And even though they tried to get some help from the French authorities, they weren't really playing ball with them. And they couldn't hold him at all. They didn't have any legal hold over him at that point. So reports say that Sagawa checked himself out, but in his own words, he was literally forced to leave the hospital. They were like, you have to go. You can't be here.
Right.
So that he just kind of had to, he's just like, all right, well, I guess I'm off then. And that was it. He checked himself out, or he was forced to leave, and spent his entire life as a free man.
Basically, he got off scot-free.
He did.
For murder, necrophilia, and cannibalism.
And rape.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And you think, wow, that's really fucked up. But no, this is where it gets really fucked up. So even though this was really widely criticized in Japan, the public, like, how the fuck can we just let this guy go? Unfortunately, the Japanese authorities, they couldn't do anything. So yeah, unfortunately, instead of becoming, a national villain, if you will, he, in fact, became a minor celebrity and made a living through the public's interest in his crime. So not only did he get away with murder, rape, and cannibalism, he actually made a living off of it. And how? By leaning into his crime and exploiting it through people's morbid curiosities. So he had... appeared on multiple talk shows. He would have regular columns in magazines and even in newspapers. He was hired as an actor. He appeared in films and as a porn star as well. More on that later. He has published over a dozen books. Didn't
he have a cookbook, or am I inventing that?
I don't know. I don't know if he had a cookbook. He could have had a cookbook, but he did become a critic, a food critic.
Oh, maybe that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Which is fucking insane.
That's despicable, yeah.
Yeah. Movies that he's been in, one that we've covered, Soft Skin, as well as, another Sato film, The Bedroom, as well as being the subject of multiple documentaries, like you said, the one before, Vice, which is extremely... I won't say popular, but widely seen, and actually a pretty damn good documentary,
really
I
good.
think.
Yeah.
Cannibal, the French documentary as well, which I'll talk about more later. However, what's interesting is the one that we're talking about today doesn't really appear on many lists.
Right.
So on his like Japanese Wikipedia page or something, there's no listing of this. Yeah, which I found really odd. And Google searches don't really bring much up either. I don't know the exact reason why, but I mean, one guess is because if you search Issei Sagawa and I want to eat, that pretty much brings up every single article, that all the keywords are exactly the same, as well as he has a book called I Want to Be Eaten. So this film does exist, however, it's very hard to come by. It was only ever released on VHS, and it occasionally pops up on auction websites for a very, very hefty fee. So you expect to pay between $200 and $500 for a VHS of this.
God.
Yep.
I have a memory of he released a book that where he somehow had the crime scene photos. There was crime. It was like a picture book or something.
It wasn't a picture book. There was a book, and the publisher got into a lot of trouble because they released the crime scene pictures without authorization. So that's that's something that happened.
And I also remember seeing, maybe it was in the Vice documentary, he had like a book where he'd drawn pictures of what
There's
he did
a manga that,
as well,
which he kind of, in his own words and own, I don't know, delusions, he drew the incident.
God.
And it's kind of weird. And as I mentioned, he thought of himself as like an ugly, weak little man, and he draws himself as like this like bright red little demon-esque midget thing.
God.
Yeah, it's pretty grim. That manga as well, that goes for about $200.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And he talks about it. A company approached him, and it's a company that primarily issues or releases lolicon manga. Mangas where you can look at naked little kids.
Yeah.
So that just goes to show what kind of publisher is interested in. And Issei Sagawa manga.
Gross.
Pretty gross, yes. Now, the movie we're talking about today, Tabetai, I Want to Eat You. Now, there are actually two versions of this. I mentioned very briefly at the end of our last episode. There's a movie version and an AV version. Now, in the AV version, as you expect, there's a lot more sex, and it's a lot shorter at only 60 minutes. Today, we're going to watch the movie version, which goes on for a whopping 90. So 30 minutes longer, more story, some sex scenes, but nothing hardcore. Overall, they mostly have the same scenes, but the order is different.
Right.
But yeah, we'll be talking about the movie version today. On the letterbox, it lists the runtime as 80 minutes. There's no such runtime, so that's just wrong.
Yeah,
it's either 60 minutes or 90. There's no 80-minute version. So before we go into some more details, I want to give a shout out to two people for helping us or helping me view this. Shout out to our friend DV. This is what we call him. It's not his name.
He supplies all the awful stuff.
He does.
Yeah.
For lending me the VHS to watch the movie version, and Cult Collectibles. They supplied me with a link to view the AV version. Cult Collectibles, they are... I don't know what the best way to describe them. They sell a lot of murderabilia, I think is the term. So they have a shop. They have, I think, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. You can buy a lot of stuff, drawn, written, things related to actual murderers from them. They actually have some signed Issei Sagawa stuff. I think they also have some of his original paintings up for sale. Ugh. So if you want to get an original Issei Sagawa painting, you can go to their website, the quick search Cult Collectibles. In fact, they also have a YouTube. On their YouTube, they show some clips of the movie we're talking about today. Of course, not the sexy stuff, but some of the other stuff. So you can pop by there, see the film we're talking about. Now, both versions are actually written by Sagawa.
Ugh.
So he wrote the screenplay for this.
God.
Yes. On the VHS, it doesn't have a cast. It has a menu.
Right.
So the design is like a menu. And all it is, it says menu, Issei Sagawa, a Japanese woman and a Western woman. That is the cast of this movie. Right. Now, I don't know if did you notice anything about the title of this? Because it's the way it's written, the kanji, the Japanese character, isn't the normal character for eat. So tabetai, I want to eat you. The taberu kanji is not the standard one.
Sure.
This is just something I just thought was quite interesting.
I do remember seeing the title and feeling like it looked odd, but I didn't pay that much attention to it.
Yeah, it's a different kanji to the one you would normally see, like, to eat.
Right.
And I was at work and I was just chatting with a co-worker and we were talking about kanji. I was like, by the way, this kanji, when it's written like this, what is the difference between the normal eat and this eat? And she started talking. She was like, I've only ever seen this eat on, like, really weird movies. And I was like, okay, let's just stop there, because I didn't want to go down the Issei Sagawa route of conversation. But apparently doing some research on that, the kanji for eat that's used in this film, it means eating for survival rather than pleasure.
Huh.
So it's often used in the context like when an animal hunts and eats.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So that's just something that
that's
I thought
quite
was
interesting.
Yeah, I thought so. So the director attached to this, he is under the pseudonym of Yamachi Noboru, which is directly translated as on the letterbox, Mountains Noboru. So, Yamachi, mountainous terrain, and Noboru is the word for climb. So this is directed by the mountain climber director. I don't know why on the letterbox they only translated half of his name.
It must have been like, someone's whacked it into Google Translate, right? And usually with a name, it can predict the sound.
Yeah.
It's just gone to mountains immediately.
Mountains Noboru. So yeah. Now this guy, nothing else to his name. So clearly just a pseudonym for this movie. But according to the Japanese databases, he has 3 other titles. However, I think that's just wrong, because one of them is like a comedy drama starring Osugiden.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Another one's like a Yakuza thing. And I looked at the trailer for both of them. Neither one of them state him as the director. Right. So I think there's just some shenanigans going on there.
Right.
I mentioned before we're talking about the movie version. However, this is not a standard movie.
No.
How would you describe it?
It feels like it's kind of moving between documentary scenes and then like recreations of his fantasies, essentially.
Yeah.
But I was like fascinated watching it because there were so many points where I'm like, I don't know if this is real, like if this is actual real footage.
Yeah.
Or if this is part of the story within the story.
Yeah.
So it's a very odd watch. And there's also bits in it where it just goes off onto tangents that felt like they didn't have too much to do with anything.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right there. Sometimes, it's really difficult to tell what scenes are real and what are scripted. But yeah, there are scenes that are clearly scripted. They have bit of a cinematic feel to them.
Yeah.
There are other scenes that are just like straight up documentaries, behind the scenes, offshots, things going wrong.
Yeah. And the performances as well, like, change in those scenes. So I feel like some stuff might be, or definitely has to be real, which is quite disturbing considering what some of the parts are in this.
Yes. So for this episode, I went full on research mode. I watched both versions of I Want to Eat You. I watched Sagawa-kun's Week, another documentary. I watched the Vice documentary. I watched the Cannibal documentary and the Sea of Trees. So I will be sprinkling tidbits from various things here and there throughout, but we'll be using the movie version of Tabetai as the main structure of this episode. And with that, let's get into it.
Maybe as well, something else to add. You mentioned we watched this on VHS, so there will be no clips sprinkled, no audio clips sprinkled into this one like I would normally do. So sorry about that.
I mean, what are we going to listen to? Just him trying to get a hard on.
Yeah. So don't stress. You're not missing much in terms of audio.
Just have to listen to the soothing sounds of our voices.
Yeah.
So we start off with a home movie.
Yeah, and it's dead silent as well. And I'm assuming this is like maybe shot on Super 8 or something like this. but it's like footage from Sagawa's childhood,
Yeah.
right? And you can immediately recognize him.
He's got a very distinct face.
He looks exactly
big
the
old
same.
head, big ears.
And it's him with his dad and his brother.
Yeah,
right?
I'm going to assume it's his brother.
I've heard things about his brother as
Oh, yeah?
well.
What have you heard?
I've heard that his brother's a massive creep as well.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. I mean, I didn't know much about him, but after watching the Cannibal documentary, the French one, I was like, fuck this guy.
Yeah. I've heard things that he's like equally, well, maybe not quite
not equally,
but yeah, he's also quite a pervert.
In a way, I hate his brother more than him. Just like watching him and the way he talks, and like he's so desperate for his older brother's attention and like approval. Like, yeah, the already on a tangent. In the Cannibal documentary, the brother, the younger brother, so he also has a grim fetish. He likes to, I guess the best way to put it is to torture his upper arm. So he will like stab his upper arm, wrap it in barbed wire, and for him, his upper arm and his armpit area is just like another orifice. So he gets off on inflicting pain on his upper arm area.
Right. Okay.
And in the Cannibal documentary, he tells that to Sagawa, Issei Sagawa, and he's like, "What do you think? Aren't you impressed?" And Sagawa's like, "Nope." And he's like, "Yeah, but it took me a lot of courage to tell you that. Like, aren't you impressed?" And he keeps asking, "Aren't you impressed? Aren't you amazed?" And Issei Sagawa's just like, "Anything you do pales in comparison to what I've done." Oh, yeah.
God, what a bunch of fucking.
And the guy's like, "Yeah, but look, it's pretty gross, right?" I was like, "Fuck off."
Oh my God.
And just hearing him talk, he says another thing that really just made me like hate him as a person. He might be a nice guy, I don't fucking know. But in the Cannibal documentary, the younger brother, he's like, "Oh, fuck, if you had told me that you wanted to eat human flesh, I probably could have found you some. You didn't have to, there's people all around the world in like, BDSM and these like weird subcultures who would probably want to be eaten. You didn't have to go ahead and kill someone and ruin your whole life." And he's like, "Bit too late to say that now though, huh?" and it's the guy was just sitting there just like, fucking hate you.
Oh God.
He just seems like the most annoying person to hang out with. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, so it's him and his brother in like this black and white grainy footage from their childhood, and over the top there's a lot of information throughout this entire film that's told through text on screen. And straight from the beginning we have Issei Sagawa's health history, where he went to school, about the cannibalism story, and then we go on to his like stats, his weight, his height, and also what he likes. I don't know if you caught this.
I didn't see that.
He likes women and mayonnaise.
Oh, what?
Are his likes, apparently.
What the fuck?
I know. It's annoying. It also had a dislikes thing, but the VHS was so like blurry and everything was bleeding out everywhere that I couldn't make out the kanji, which was annoying. But apparently he likes mayonnaise. I didn't know that.
Good fun fact there. Add that to the Wikipedia page.
I know. Oh. Likes women and mayonnaise.
God.
The footage continues. He's kind of like playing dress up and he's fighting with his brother, and it looks like they're in some kind of home play.
Yeah.
Now, we get some text on screen that says the roots of his cannibalism came from a play that his uncle made him act in when he was a kid. So this movie we're watching, this home movie, we can only assume was orchestrated by their uncle. And apparently that was where he developed these desires to eat human flesh.
What was this play?
I don't know. No idea. So, anyway, different to what the Wikipedia says. And then we cut to him as an adult.
Yeah, he's doing... It's such a gross cut-in. So it's been silent for all that black and white footage. And then suddenly just the sound blasts in, and it's Sagawa, just a close-up of his mouth, munching down food. And it's just fucking gross. This film is so gross from the get-go.
It really is.
And he's like at a press conference with all these microphones in his face. And correct me if I'm wrong, but he's basically talking about eating human flesh and what his preferences of human flesh is, right?
Yeah, yeah. So you got these reporters. We don't see anyone apart from him, but we see the microphones. We can see the cameras like flashing and all these people shouting out questions like, what does it taste like? What does human flesh taste like? What kind of meat do you like? And what's the difference between beef and people?
Yeah, yeah.
And he's kind of just like eating and giggling away, being a bit of a creep.
I think something to point out about him, the way that he talks, this was really hard for me to catch a lot of stuff. And some of it was not so much the Japanese, but the fact that he fucking mumbles everything. And when he talks, he's very softly spoken. He has his mouth practically closed when he's speaking. He's like talking through his teeth. And he comes across as like a very shy, reserved little creep. So it's very hard to like catch what he's talking about. But as you say, he's like giggling as he's talking about it. It's so grim.
Yeah. But then we kind of cut away to him alone in that room.
Yeah.
Sitting, so now suddenly there's no cameras, no mics. So I guess it was just a delusion of his own. And he's sitting at the table looking down at his plate. He eats meat. And that's where we get our title card. In glorious fashion, blood dripping down off the letters.
Very garish title.
It is. This is a very exploiting movie. So the post title cards, we get this thing of him walking down the street alongside the railway tracks, and he says, I feel like there's one more of me. And he kind of glances to the side, and there's just another Issei Sagawa sitting on the floor, naked.
In his undies, those big, oversized undies. Yeah. He spends so much time wearing giant fucking white underwear.
Yeah, they're big, aren't they?
And do you think he does? Is he like leaning into the fact that he looks like a baby?
Oh, no.
Because it really just... Wearing that underwear, it really emphasizes how much he looks like a baby man.
It does. It's a very small body, big head.
Yeah. Actually, it's the big head. It's not the fact that he's small. It's the fact that he's got like a little gut. Yeah, you know, like a baby's got that sort of gut. Yeah. He's completely fucking hairless.
Yeah,
and then he just has this giant head.
And his hair is kind of like, it almost looks like, you know, newborn baby's first hair as well. It's like starting, it's like, it's what you'd imagine like a receding man to look like, but even when he was a kid, he had like a really massive forehead.
Yeah. It's interesting, his balding patterns make no sense to me.
No.
Because like, if you look at photos from when he committed his crime, have you seen his haircut?
Yeah,
from there?
wild.
He's got this long hair, but it's kind of like kind of combed over, but sort of in that sort of Misfits-esque, like long stretch of hair that's like wrapped around like a turd on the top of his head. But then if you look at his hair when he, like, you know, older in life, he looks less bald somehow, but still kind of bald. Yeah, you're right. He's got a real baby wispiness to his hair.
I wonder, you know, like when you see people who are trying to cover up their bald patch with long hair, you know, and they just look more bald.
He was perhaps doing that.
He was trying to do
back
that
in the day.
Yeah,
and now he looks less bald because he's not trying to cover it up. At
maybe
this point
maybe that's what it is. Yeah. So we look at this weird, like, naked baby man Sagawa, and he's on the floor and he's eating something, and it's crunchy. And there's some text on top, and it says something about bones. And I think he's eating his own bones in the context of this film. But we don't actually ever see what he's eating.
It's like from like a pot or something, right?
Yeah.
We see it a few times, right? Well, maybe later.
At the end, yeah. This is where we enter an apartment. And this is completely like handheld, behind the scenes footage. And we meet the producer of the movie, and they talk about making this film, I Want to Eat You. And the producer's talking to Sagawa, and he is basically speaking for Sagawa at this point. And he confirms the reason to make this movie is that Sagawa does not want to keep living off or like exploiting this the cannibal incident. And making this movie is his way of basically letting it go. He wants to make this last piece, and then he's done with exploiting the cannibal incident. Right. So this is his way of saying goodbye to that.
Okay.
And the producer confirms that, and Sagawa's like, yeah. He's like, I don't want to just keep living in the past. I want to focus on new things, different things.
So is this the producer just trying to justify this film's existence?
Perhaps? I don't know if it's justified. I mean, the film is Sagawa's thing. Like, he wrote it, so the making it was his intention, his wish. But by doing so, it was just his way of saying goodbye to the whole thing. He just wants to put it behind him, focus on new things for the future. And in this scene, the producer confirms that. So I guess it was a conversation they had previously off camera.
Sounds like bullshit, though.
Well,
because he's gone.
It is, and then he carries on making.
Yeah. Also, this producer, did he remind you of someone else?
Oh, no.
I had a moment where I thought, when he appeared, that producer, I thought it was Hisayasu Sato.
Oh, really?
He looks so much like a young Hisayasu Sato.
Really?
And he's like chain smoking through the whole film, which is very Sato. I don't think it is him, because he's maybe a little bit too young to be, although it is 94. But yeah, it really looked like Sato, which would make sense, because this is the time.
When was The Room out?
The Bedroom?
Yeah, sorry. Not The Room with the other guy.
Yeah. Imagine if Issei Sagawa was in Tommy Wiseau's The Room. I think The Bedroom, I'm going to say like 92 is my guess.
Okay. No, I don't think it is, because I researched... It's funny, I'll get into it later, but the credits change from the movie version and the AV version.
Right. Yeah.
And I managed to find who the producer was in the AV version.
Yeah, I don't think it's him, but... it looked like him. And for a moment, I got kind of excited that we'd stumbled upon like a forgotten Sato film.
Oh, okay, that would be kind of cool.
But no, I don't think it is him, but it does look a lot like him. And it would make sense, because they were friends.
They were buds, yeah.
He went to Sagawa's funeral.
Oh, yeah. God. So this is them kind of preparing for a photo shoot. And they're looking at pictures of foreign models. And Sagawa's kind of just looking through them, and he's like, this one looks a bit too old for me, and and
commenting on all of them.
Yeah. Despite him looking like a big old baby. And in the end, we get some text on screen saying that he chose the one with the youngest looking flesh, and her name is Rachel. Yes. So after like a little bit of an in-between scene of them like going towards the studio, again, very handheld, behind-the-scenes type stuff, they meet. Sagawa offers her a rose, which she accepts and says, thank you. And we get some more text on screen saying that even though she said thank you, she seems very nervous to meet him.
Yeah, she kind of immediately looks grossed out by him, right?
I mean, you wouldn't you?
Yeah, so she knows who he is, I'm assuming.
Yes, she does.
And she's getting her makeup done in a scene that I found kind of weird. She's getting her makeup done by a makeup person first, then suddenly it's the producer doing her makeup, and he's got his shirt off. It's just kind
is that the producer?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
This is kind of confusing.
Yeah.
I wanted to know, though, do you know anything about this woman?
No,
Rachel?
I really wanted to.
I really wish that you did, because I desperately want to know who the fuck she is, how she ended up in this, because she's Australian.
I was going to say, her accent sounds Australian. Yeah.
So some of the reviews online refer to her as a British woman, but she is Australian.
She's not British, yeah.
She's fully Australian, and in the behind-the-scenes stuff of her, she's not hiding her accent at all. So how did this like young Australian woman wind up in a film with Issei Sagawa?
Oh man! So wait, she in this? I think they said she was 25.
Right.
So how old would she be now?
50, mid-50s now.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Her just like, that year I spent in Japan. And
yeah. She's like working for an Kaiwa, and it's like, I'll get a bit of extra money.
Yeah,
here we go. Made a film with this little cannibal.
I mean, that's something that would haunt you for life, isn't it?
Yeah. I can imagine she does not want anyone to know that this exists.
She is not going to be happy when she finds out that we've
watched this film.
Yeah. We're making a big old podcast about it. Oh, God. Yeah. E. Rachel was the name that she appears under in this, whether that's her real name or not. But yeah, unfortunately, you can't find anything about her.
So in the AV version, are there hardcore scenes between her and Sagawa?
No.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, and I'll get into the reason why.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's quite interesting, yeah. She's barely in the AV version, even though she's the main in this.
Okay.
The order in which the AV version unfolds is kind of the opposite to this. Yeah, it's kind of bizarre.
Right.
It is bizarre, but it focuses more on Sagawa having sex with Japanese women.
Right,
yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it's odd. It's odd, yeah. But yeah, as we said, she's getting her makeup done, and Sagawa is just like staring.
Yeah.
Staring at her, like...
Oof.
And we get some text, and apparently it says on the text on screen, he got really jealous because there's like a guy with no shirt doing her makeup.
Right, the producer.
Yeah.
For some reason has his shirt off.
So after that, they basically take their wedding photo. So it's a photo shoot. She's topless, and she has like a headdress, what do you call it, a veil?
Yeah, like
on.
a bridal outfit on.
And he's in a suit, and they take a picture together. And this was used for the VHS cover release. And, you know, that scene kind of comes and goes without anything really interesting happening, to be honest. Then this scene really fucking confused me, because we get some scene in the park, and there's text on screen that says, the first time I saw Ingrid was in a park in Tokyo. And I was like, whoa. Who the fuck is Ingrid? I don't know, but we meet Ingrid. And I was like, wait, isn't that Rachel? So it took me so fucking long did you not notice this?
No.
Because the girl is Rachel, right?
Yeah.
But then in later scenes, and before that, he's talking about this woman, Ingrid, and later when we have the birthday cake, it says, like, happy birthday, Ingrid.
Is it because she's playing a character called Ingrid?
And I think that's what it was.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
But it took me, like, so long to figure out. And I didn't even realize it until the credits rolled around.
Sure.
Because I was like, I don't understand. Because I was like, are they the same person?
Yeah.
They look like the same person. Sometimes she's being called Rachel, sometimes she's being called Ingrid. And in the end credits, it's like, Rachel E, played by Ingrid, or vice versa, one of the others. I was like, they're the same fucking person, but...
There you go.
Sorry. I think her real name was, Rachel.
Yeah,
Rachel
she's
E.
playing
She's
Ingrid.
playing Ingrid.
Yeah.
But because we're constantly jumping back and forth between, like, this...
different
documentary
realities,
behind the scenes, and without any sort of kind of
context.
Yeah,
it's just like, here you go, she's Ingrid now. Yeah, you're right, because it does, like, even within a scene, it'll be fully narrative, like the scene, and then it'll suddenly, someone will look to the camera.
Yeah.
And it'll suddenly break out of that scene and be behind the scenes.
Or she'll, like, shout cut or something.
Yeah. Which is actually... It's kind of interesting.
It is. I didn't know what I was watching. I was like, how much of this is scripted? Yeah. What's going on?
I did quite like that. As horrible as this film is, like, it's quite interesting in the style in which it's made and the way it jumps between these different realities. Yeah.
Yeah, but fucking hell. Like, it took me to get into the end credits before I realized. So it says, first time he saw Ingrid was in a park in Tokyo. Then we get some banging music playing. I bet you love this scene, right?
Silly fucking rock music. This bit's so funny because we've just had, the scene talking about Ingrid. Then absolutely stupid music. It's like you've gone to like a royalty-free music site and typed in fun rock song.
Yeah.
And it's just, playing over the top of all this footage in Tokyo of people just
people having fun,
walking around, and then Sagawa like walks out of the crowd in this fucking stupid like tracksuit. He looks like a kind of 90s Italian gangster, right? In this ridiculous tracksuit walking through. And it's got nothing to do with anything, this whole montage. It doesn't. Unnecessary.
It's really weird. Like, whenever I've seen him in interviews, like, he always wears a suit. And he always seems to be quite smartly dressed. But then, on the other hand, he's wearing, like, these ridiculous tracksuit. It looks like Jonathan Davis. And he goes...
First Colin reference of the episode.
More to come. He goes to a stall. So we see Ingrid, or Rachel. She is running this stall selling jewelry, or rings or something. And it's kind of filmed from far away, so we don't actually hear their conversation. But they have some kind of exchange, and we can assume that she writes her number on a piece of paper and gives it to him.
Big mistake.
Mm-hmm.
We also notice in the scene that there's like cicadas. What do you say? Cicadas or cicadas?
I say cicadas.
I think I say cicadas, but I've been around you for so long, I think I've started saying cicadas.
What's funny is that there are no cicadas in England.
Right.
So I get it would make sense to say cicadas.
Right.
Because that's, they have them in America.
Sure. But I think in Australia we say cicadas, but I think it also depends what city you're in Australia. Like maybe people from Sydney say something else. But we hear them in this scene, so we realize that it's summertime as well.
Is that significant?
Yeah, I feel like it's like a motif throughout it because it's always like so hot. Like when they're doing scenes, like people are getting stressed out because it's like hot, and it feels it's a summer film.
It's a summer film.
It's a fun summer film.
You love summer films.
I just thought that was like an interesting touch because I'm like, have they added this in like this sound, or was it actually summer when they did this? And if they did add that sound in and add that aspect in, why did they do that? Like, why did they feel the need to make it summer? It's kind of interesting.
I'm not going to go too far into cicada talk, but the type that does cry, I think it was a higurashi. So it's like the ones that cry as the sun is coming down.
Right.
So I think it was to signify the passing of time.
Right. Okay.
Because when he goes to her little stall, it's like, kind of already nighttime.
Dusk. Nighttime. Yeah.
So that may be it. I don't know.
But yeah, summer film. Put this on in August when it's piping hot outside. Have a fun little summer film.
I wouldn't watch it in the summer. Not for me.
Oh, boy.
But no, you know what? She does keep complaining that it's very hot throughout the entire film.
Yeah.
I mean, that was one of the motifs for me making Sound of Summer.
Yeah.
Because it's so fucking hot and makes everyone crazy.
The horror of heat. Yeah.
Yeah. So that would make sense, yeah. Although this is a bit more real, this horror, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, can you imagine having to fuck Sagawa in the summer heat?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that adds a layer of grimness to this, doesn't it? To an already grim ordeal.
If it's not bad enough, I'm hot.
It's fucking humid as well, mate. And they don't have the air conditioning on for some mad reason.
She says that.
Yeah. I was like, what are you doing, mate? It's summer in Tokyo. Put the fucking air conditioning on.
Well, we filmed in a room with no aircon, didn't we?
Yeah, it was not fun.
Bad.
It was horrible.
Thankfully, no one was fucking, but... Oh, dear. So... we cut to an extreme close-up of Ingrid's naked body. And it's very dreamlike, it's very overexposed, and he's painting her.
And drooling as he's doing it as well.
Yeah.
He also, behind him, there's like maybe a self-portrait.
Yeah.
Like an image of Issei Sagawa behind him as he's like painting her.
He likes to paint.
Yeah. I also love this, like when they're done, this is the point that I realized that she was Australian, because she's like, thank you for the modelling job. And it's just like the most Aussie accent I've ever heard.
Yeah.
And we get to hear him speaking English here as well.
He does, yeah. What does he say?
Thank you for posing nude for me.
Yeah.
Very good English.
Well, yeah.
I wonder what his TOEIC score is. It's be at least 800.
But he must, have a pretty... I mean, he's a bit of a madman, but to pursue a PhD in France, so he can obviously speak Japanese, English, and French, And I think he actually speaks a bit of German in this as well.
Right.
So I think he's not a complete bumbling idiot.
I don't think he's an idiot, but doesn't make him not a pervert. I guess.
Yeah.
he's
I was saying that there's a guy. This is a tangent. His name is Lou, and they call him Fumareru-chan. Fumareru is to be stepped on.
Right.
And he's like some like fat American guy who learnt Japanese so he could get stepped on by Japanese women.
What?
Yeah.
Who is this? Like someone well known, or?
If you look online, there's some guy called Fumareru, and he comes to Japan like once a year or something. He saves up every year.
Yeah.
To come to Japan to get like stepped on by people.
What do you mean? Like they just walk?
Yeah, like tread on his face and stuff
with like heels on or something.
Yeah, or barefoot,
crushing his balls.
I think it's a face thing.
Face.
I think he likes to be stepped on the face. And my friends stepped on him.
Who, Jake?
No, not Jake. He went to I can't remember. My girlfriend showed a picture of him to me, and she was like, "Look at this is hilarious," and we kind of had a little giggle about him. And then like a little bit later in Mitarakaikan, one of my friends like posted a picture on Twitter, and she was like, "I finally met Lou and trod on his face," and I was like, "Oh my fucking god!" And there are all these like interviews with him in Japanese online.
Wow.
And he's like, "Oh yeah, I learned Japanese just so I could get stepped on."
Wow, There you go. We've all got our own reasons for learning Japanese.
So guys, he had to learn French to eat someone.
Oh, God.
Madness. So, she says, thanks for the modelling job. He says, thank you for posing nude for me in English. He sees her off. He has a little voiceover in English. Oh, no, in Japanese, actually. And he says he wanted to take her home, but instead they decided to go on a fairground date together later on. Then
I had a moment of fear that you were going to skip the most upsetting moment of the film.
No. Well, what does he do, Dave? He goes to the toilet. And...
Yeah, we get him going into the toilet, and he's got one of those. I fucking hate these things. You know the like furry toilet seat.
Oh yeah.
Fuck that, man.
They seem very unhygienic.
It's so gross. I got a friend that has that in her place, and just I don't want to sit on that. Like, think of all the butts and
that's a lot of
splashes of piss
furry,
that are no. But anyway, he's got one of those.
Dirty bastard.
And he leans down and plucks a pube from it, which we can assume has been left by Rachel/Ingrid. And he fucking munches it down.
Eats the pube. The toilet pube.
And he's just doing it very, I don't know what the word is. It's very, like, stoic. He's like, he's just like, almost like he has to do it, right? He's just like, here we go. And it's just fucking disgusting.
It is, yeah.
And then he leaves the toilet, goes into the living room, and sees her cup of tea that's been sort of half drunk, picks it up, and first he's sort of like suckling on the spot where her, I guess her lipstick
there's that lipstick on it,
there, suckling on that, and then he just like drinks it down. But he makes even drinking tea disgusting because he's like slurping it down, and it zooms in on his Adam's apple as he's like gulping it down.
Yeah. And then he's like, oh my. It's
man,
good. It's good. Yeah.
That was,
It was a lot.
There's maybe worse things in the film, but I found that fucking really gross because it feels very real. That kind of perverse, like, oh, I'm gonna fucking eat this pube. Like, there's something. It's just because it's such a specific thing, right? And it yucky. No thanks.
Yeah, not for me.
Yeah,
Not for me. I will not be eating pubes off a toilet. I mean, you got to be like a certain type of fucking nut job to do that.
I think there's something like extremely like invasive about it as well. Like, imagine if you went to someone's house. Like, imagine if you like you knew that, like, say you left here and I'd, like, gotten you a beer can, like, sucked on the edge. Like, it's like, it would just be such a gross, like, feeling of, like, an invasion of yourself. And,
it's I don't know, but it seems, because it's crazy because it's so, like, easily done as well.
Yeah.
I wonder how many people, like, after they've had, like, no. After, like, they've had, like, a female or male, depending on whatever, they like, a friend over, and then after just, like, gone and, like, licked the toilet bowl or fucking done some gross shit like that. Like, smelt the seat they were sitting on or something.
It reminded me of that, you know, All Night Long 3?
Oh, that's a great one, yeah.
Because that has, like... I don't think we've ever talked about that film on the podcast before, but that film maybe grosses me out more than any other film, because the main character works at a love hotel, right? And he's, like, digging through trash and getting cummy tissues. It's like so fucking horrible. But it's like a similar kind of grossness in the scene. But I hated that. I hated this moment, this pube munching moment.
Yeah. Not for me.
No thanks.
No thank you. So, next we are in a photo shoot. Again, very behind the scenes stuff. We meet the camera operator, who is a girl who photographs brothels, apparently. Right. And Sagawa met her at a brothel, and he is talking to the camera, and he says, like, he would find it very arousing to be photographed by a female photographer.
Right.
So that's why we have this female photographer. There we have Ingrid and Sagawa, and they're sitting on the bed, and the camera operator, she's trying to kind of direct them and how they pose. So she's saying, you know, sit closer, smile, but Ingrid just does not seem really into it. She doesn't look happy. Once she's taken the picture, she kind of just, like, shrugs Sagawa off and kind of shimmies away a little bit. The camera operator keeps asking the girl, it's like, are you hot? Are you tired? And Ingrid, she's like, no, like, just hurry the fuck up, take the picture. She doesn't want to be there. And it gets to the point where she just stands up and walks away mid-shoot. Yeah,
she goes upstairs, right, in this house that they're filming in. And she's got there's like a translator there as well who's helping her communicate with people. She locks herself in the bathroom, I guess. Yeah, this part, I mean, I really wanted to know, is this real?
This seems very real.
It feels real, because her performance feels very different in this. Like, she's just being herself. She's speaking English, obviously, in this, and it's a back and forth between her, the translator, the producer, and the photographer, who are all, like, outside trying to talk to her. And she says things, some of the things that she says are kind of interesting. She's crying, and she says, I'm not going to disrespect someone this way.
Yeah.
So is she referring to
the murder victim, I think,
Oh, man, it's fucked up. Yeah. It is very fucked up.
She says, like, I'm not that mean, I'm not going to disrespect someone that way. The camera operator, she's also, like, talking to Sagawa, like, you know, you should, you know, try harder, try and, you know, comfort her. And Sagawa's like, I can't. She flinched away immediately as I touched her. Like, she's not into this at all. And then after that, we kind of find Rachel now. I guess she's not even in character. It's just her talking to Sagawa. And she's like, I felt sick. I can't sleep. I'm nervous. There's hot. Too many people around.
She said the pizza they gave me for lunch made me very nervous. What does that mean? I don't know.
Yeah. And she says she's very shy. Sagawa is basically her translator at this point. So he's kind of talking to the producer.
Yeah, it's quite disturbing, this as well. So he's, like, very gentle in this scene, which is also very creepy, right? And she's upset that she's like, I wasn't introduced to anyone. I'm just thrown into this situation. And he's kind of calming her down and telling all this information to the crew.
Yeah, and she says something like, because she mentions there's too many people on set and it's taking too long to do anything. And she's like, I didn't know who anyone was. I've not been introduced to anyone. I wasn't introduced to you. She says to Sagawa. So I was like, wait. So she had no idea who Sagawa was.
Yeah, that's what I was...
prior to this, because that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, that was the feeling I got as well.
Which is pretty upsetting. I mean, I would feel hot and nervous.
Yeah.
If I was in her position. I wouldn't put it down to the pizza. But...
Yeah.
So Sagawa somehow manages to comfort her, saying, like, you know, we need to introduce her to all the staff and we need to make her feel at ease. And I think they kind of make a bit of a big deal out of it to, you know, make her feel more comfortable. After that, they go back to the shoot. The camera operator and the model Ingrid, Rachel, they both take off their tops and get a bit naked, have a bit of a laugh, and the photo shoot seems to go all right after that. Although, I'll tell you what, I found this scene kind of stressful because it's such a small thing. But the camera operator, she speaks a little bit of English. Rachel, I mean, she doesn't know anyone or know what's going on or who anyone is, and she's kind of just like, she's kind of asking questions more to like put herself at ease than anything. She was like, is this okay? Should I do this? And the operator's just going, beautiful, nice, you're beautiful. Just like saying these like kind of just random words with no context. And she's like, so should I do? She's like, beautiful, beautiful. Like, it's okay. Like these words that don't really hold any meaning without any context, you know? And I just remembered like, watching that and just picturing Ingrid not knowing what the fuck she's trying to tell her, just saying these buzzwords, if you will. So I've been in that situation. You ask a question and someone says like, "It's okay." You're like, does that mean? What does that mean in this in this situation? It's okay. Should I do it? Should I not do it? But they get their photos.
Yeah,
and then they go on a date.
Yeah, they're at some kind of parks.
Well, they go to the fairgrounds that they were talking about in the...
Yeah, what is this place, though? It's got everything. It's got
a lot.
It's got a Ferris wheel, it's got a merry-go-round, they got fucking elephants, they've got koalas to make Rachel feel at home. There's a... I really felt like they emphasized the koalas, because you go like, yeah, here's an elephant, here's a fucking orangutan, but... Here you go.
Hold your horses.
Check these koalas out.
I did not realize that.
Koalas are really expensive to keep at a zoo.
Are they?
Yeah. So at, Tennoji Zoo, they used to have koalas.
Okay.
And they had to sell them to fucking London Zoo. They shipped them off to London. Yeah. Because in order to like keep koalas at a zoo, they only eat one thing, which is eucalyptus leaves. So they would have to import that from Australia.
Right.
And apparently it costs a fucking fortune. And of course, Tennoji Zoo, can you even call that a fucking zoo?
Whoa.
It's one of the
Don't go
bleakest
dissing
places.
Tennoji Zoo. It's great. What are you talking about?
Pretty grim.
Whoa.
A tiger just walking a fucking 3-meter distance back and forth. But yeah, so they had to ship their koalas off.
Tennoji Zoo. I mean, that's done by the city. That's a city-owned zoo. It's free for kids. And
Is it really?
Yeah, and it's only about like 500 yen for adults.
Well, maybe they should start charging more if they want to keep koalas. Got to feed them that eucalyptus.
I guess they have to, yeah. I've been to Tennoji a few times. It's great. Look at the bats.
Have you ever been up Tsuten Kaku and then looked down at Tennoji Zoo?
I've never been up to Tenkaku.
Oh man, it's quite grim.
A very local conversation.
Because so there's a big tower near that zoo. And when you go up the top, you can look down and see the zoo, and it's fucking bleak how close all the animals are together in these tiny little pens. And you won't be seeing any koalas from up on Tsutenkaku, even if they were there. Too small.
The elephant died recently, didn't it?
Did it?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Nothing to do with anything.
Fucking hell, R.I.P. to that elephant. Should we put a little tribute at the end of this episode to the Tennoji Zoo elephant? That would be pretty great.
Should we tag Tennoji Zoo in our episode?
They're like, oh, what's this? Podcast.
I want to eat.
Tell you what, if you ate an elephant, that'd keep you going for quite a while, wouldn't it?
I'd imagine so.
Yeah, it's quite a lot.
Don't know where you'd start with it.
What does an elephant taste like? Does anyone eat elephants? Does anyone eat?
Not that I know of. Yeah. Who eats an elephant? What do they... What? They eat trees, don't they?
I guess so. They're not eating meat, are they?
I don't know.
Write into us. Tell us what an elephant tastes like. And what an elephant eats. Oh, boy.
Oh, no. So they have their lovely day, and it seems like they're having a lot of fun. They link arms. There's this there's this fucking scene, like, it's like towards the end, and Ingrid, like, sticks her tongue out to Sagawa, like, playfully, and he just kind of stands there, just, like, staring at her like a fucking awkward teenager with a hard-on. So now we cut back, so now we finally have, like a cinematic scene. So it's like a scripted scene at home, and Sagawa's in, like, a rocking chair. It's all very dreamlike, and she brings him a plate of food. And she's, like, in this, like, sexy see-through gown. It's very, again, overexposed, dreamlike. And she says, "This is a special sherbet for you. This is my clitoris."
She says it very Australian.
She does,
she's like,
doesn't she?
clitoris.
Ugh. Clitoris.
I think she just didn't know how to say the word. It's special sherbet. Doesn't look like sherbet to me.
No, it doesn't. Apparently it is. Apparently it's got a clit inside. And he says, "That's great, Fraulein." And then he eats the clit.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And knowing what you said before, fuck.
Pretty grim.
What a cunt. What a grim cunt.
What's wild is, so when he ate that clit in real life, Renée Hartevelt, she was on her period, right? And according to Sagawa, he hates blood, and he was scared of blood. Right? So he couldn't, you know, like, chew it or didn't want to taste it or savor the flavor. He just downed it in one.
Right.
Yeah. And in this scene, he does the same. He has a clit sorbet.
He doesn't like blood, but he likes eating raw fucking dead women.
Yeah. Bizarre. But then, after he eats that, we get this awesome scene. It kind of cuts to this weird, like, purple, psychedelic video effect, digital noise thing. We get this long experimental scene of just, like, swirling cameras and noise and chaos. And it goes on for quite a while, and eventually ends up with him sitting in the makeup chair, getting ready for a scene.
Yeah.
And I really liked that.
I was even wondering if that was shot on Super 8, because it really stands out visually. It does look very cool.
Yeah. So then we cut to the couple. This is clearly a scripted scene. Eating at a table. Is like a Japanese low table. They're having a shabu-shabu, I believe.
It looks so fucking gross, the meat. Like, just, I think because it's in the context of knowing that it's Sagawa, right? But just all the close-ups of the meat was making me feel really sick. Especially because we had yakiniku the other night.
Oh, we had a ton, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, God.
You didn't watch that after we went out for yakiniku?
I did.
Oh,
yeah.
no.
It's not
bad
great.
choice.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they cook up some meat, and he's watching her eat, and he's getting a little bit horny.
He's, like, staring at her butt. So it's, like, cutting between the meat and her butt. Because I guess he likes eating butts most of all.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. She says, "Oishii wa?" Delicious. And he replies with, "You also must be delicious." And then he goes in, he tries to undress her in the middle of this restaurant. She pushes him off, and she's like, "Get the fuck off me," and she runs off. He runs after her down the street, and how would you describe his run?
The thing that I've written here is very mean.
I mean, so is mine.
So it's just pathetic. Because he's got a tiny little man body. He just cannot do it. Arms flapping about like a tiny Steven Seagal.
I wrote he runs like the Elephant Man would. Just not very well. Just, he only gets like 2 meters down the road before he kind of gives up.
It's like a toddler. Look at
a little toddler.
A little toddler.
Too much fluid in his head. Just can't run.
Oh, fuck.
Now, speaking of running. Now, I mentioned I watched a few... Speaking of running, this is very appropriate to Sagawa running. I watched a few more documentaries with him. One of them being Sagawa-kun's Week. Now, this documentary was just fucking atrocious.
Right.
It was the most exploitive, and sickening thing that I had seen. And
When's it from, that one?
That's a good question. Let me just quickly check. It's from 95.
Okay, so around the time of this as well.
And it's a fucking documentary about Issei Sagawa in the style of like a comedy variety show.
Ugh.
The Japanese variety shows are just they're just painful to sit through.
Yeah.
And for some reason, someone thought the Issei Sagawa story would make a good comedy show. So you have these fucking idiot comedians. And we've said, maybe not publicly, maybe privately more, how much we hate a lot of Japanese comedy because it is just not fucking funny at all. And we have these dumb comedians, and they basically test Sagawa's like physical strength through a number of sports. So they have him on a sports track, and they're like, oh, so we're gonna see how long it takes for you to like run 100 meters and throw a shot put and do javelin and all this kind of like dumb. Of course, he's terrible at everything, but the whole time they're just like laughing in his face.
Oh God.
They're literally laughing in his face, saying like, "Oh, you don't even look human. Look at you, you're so fucking gross." And they're just laughing at him in his face, and just watching him try to run like a dumb one-legged baby would run, you know?
One-legged baby.
And I was just watching this fucking documentary, and it was just so exploitative for so many different reasons, and not funny at all. And it was very, very sad.
Yeah.
It really was very sad, because it starts off with these like ridiculous like sporting events with this fucking murder cannibal. Yeah. Right? After that, they're like, oh, so now we're going to check how good your pickup skills are. Right? So we got this murder cannibal, and they're driving around in this car, and they stop and they see these two girls, right? And I say comedians in fucking quotations. They're not funny at all. And they're like, oh, look at these girls. They got short skirts. They look like a couple of sluts. Let's go check it out. So Sagawa stays in the car, right? The two comedians go up to them, and they're like, hey, girls, like, how old are you? 16.
Oof.
There's two 16-year-old high school girls. And when they said that, and I was like, oh, clearly, like, they're going to abandon ship and try to find at least someone of legal age. No. They're like, oh, we got this guy who wants to take you out on a date. And then they get Sagawa out of the car, and he takes them, of course, for yakiniku. And the comedians have this, like, mic piece in his ear, and they're, like, talking to him through the mic from a different table. And they're talking about, obviously, cooking meat. And they're like, which one tastes nicer, the human flesh or beef? And he's kind of giggling away. And I was just watching it, just like, what the fuck am I watching? These two poor 16-year-old girls have just been picked up and placed in a documentary with a fucking rapist, necrophile murderer.
Jesus Christ.
They're 16. And then after that, there's like this whole thing of like him trying to like sell his artwork, and it's just a very sad case documentary, which is supposed to be funny.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah, and the last thing on this documentary, I think the last like 20 minutes of it or so, it's only an hour long. The last 20 minutes of it is just him trying to find work. And calling up loads of different places, not as himself, not as, Issei Sagawa, just being like, hi, I've got all these language skills, I can speak this. Do you have any work as a translator? And everyone's like, you're too old, sorry, no. And it's just him just getting constantly rejected.
Oh, God.
Like, over the phone, so it's not like him as himself, it's just him just failing at life. Oof. Can't sell his pictures, can't get a job, can't fucking run 100 meters. I was just like, man, this is upsetting. So that was another one of the documentaries that I watched whilst preparing for this.
God.
Back to I Want to Eat You. So he goes home, empties his mailbox, and there's a ton of flyers in there. One for a brothel. So he calls up the brothel and asks for a Dutch woman.
Yeah.
So we're getting closer to reality here. Next, we get a interview by the producer, and the producer asks him about how he feels about Japanese women. I don't know, did you catch what he said here?
I didn't catch the details, but is he talking about going to like a foreigner soapland?
He does talk about that, yeah. But he says he doesn't like Japanese women because they remind him of his little sister.
Oh, I thought I heard him say that, but I'm like, no, it can't be that. But that's like, this is a running thing with him that will come up later on, but he does have this obsession with like Western women versus Japanese women, and his opinion on this changes over time. And I've got thoughts on that, but that'll come up later, I think. Yeah,
yeah. He does talk about going to, like I said, the Turkish bathhouse.
Yeah,
more on that. Check out our
haunted Turkish bathhouse episode.
Yeah. Apparently, he overheard about this place from some old man on the train, and he went there, and he talks about as soon as he left the hospital. After he was basically forcibly discharged, he went to a hotel in Shinjuku and ordered a Portuguese prostitute. So as soon as he was released, he got a Portuguese prostitute. Now, can you imagine being that woman?
God.
Or what it would be like? Because obviously the news would have gotten out.
Ugh.
That's grim. Which brings me onto the next documentary I watched, the Vice documentary.
Yeah, that's a great...
You've seen that, right?
I've seen that, and it absolutely fucking haunted me.
Now, there's a very famous scene in that. It's showing old footage about when he sleeps or has slept with a porn star. Do you remember that?
I definitely remember that, because I really was hoping that you'd have more on this.
I've got a lot more on it. So can you just... talk about the scene for a moment?
My memory of it's been a long time since I've watched it, but correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a porn film that he's in. From my memory, he's like spending a day with this AV star.
Yep.
Sleeping with her, having sex with her over a 24-hour period, or maybe longer perhaps. And then from memory, he reveals who he is at the end.
Yeah.
And she has a kind of meltdown over it. And then they become friends after that as well? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
But I remember that being the thing where I was just like, it upset me so much that I was just like, fuck this. Fuck Japan for doing this. Like, this is so fucking disgusting. And it's horrific.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my memory of it.
Yeah, that's pretty much 100% spot on. Yeah. So I was trying to find out about that AV and the actress that was in that, and fucking hell, it led me down a very interesting rabbit hole.
Okay.
One that blew my mind.
Okay, because I remember when I saw that, I tried to find out more about that film, and I just couldn't find anything.
Oh, dude, I'm gonna fucking blow your mind.
Okay, this. Yeah,
dude, I was like in my room researching this, and as soon as I found, I was like, oh shit! Fucking hell. So yes, I rewatched that Vice documentary, and even though it's not listed in the credits of that, we have the scene from that AV that basically has her title card. Yeah. And her name is Yuri Satomi. And she's a porn actress, 21 years old. And apparently, this was her first ever porn film to be in. She didn't know what the job was. Her manager took her there. She was only told in advance that the person that she would be working with, Issei Sagawa, was a writer, but he was apparently a little bit strange, and the conditions of her being in this porn film with him was they had to, like you said, spend 24 hours together. They had to fuck 3 times. And there was like an interview with her before that, And she's like, oh yeah, I don't know, I've heard he's kind of interesting, or a little bit quirky, but, you know, I don't really know much about him. So they met, they, you know, apparently got on quite well. This actress and Sagawa, they talked about movies, and they apparently promised to go out together, see a movie together, go to like a fairground together kind of stuff. And they seem to, get on quite well. So this scene is from a porn film called True Sex Crime File, is the name that it comes from, right?
Oh, what a name for a porn film.
I know.
Imagine being like, I'm in the mood for a true crime wank.
Oh, and yeah, they did it. They spent their 24 hours together. They did it 3 times as per the contract. And then after, as we see in the Vice documentary, as well as obviously the porn film itself, Sagawa starts going through case files and books that showcase his murder. And we start to see her get more and more upset before cutting to an interview with her in the car on her own, just like crying and just not knowing how to handle it. But the thing that she took away from it is actually quite interesting, the way she handled it. She's apparently, in her words, she says she never really got too emotional about it. She said rather she felt angry at the directors who tried to make products based on the incident, the Sagawa incident, and at the state of society that allowed such works to be produced. And she said that both her and Sagawa were both insecure people that were exploited as just objects for this work. So it sounds like she never really, I don't know, she didn't blame Sagawa, she blamed society for like this bizarre demand to see someone get tricked into fucking a murder or a cannibal.
Yeah.
And she felt that they were both exploited and they were both kind of targeted as weak people. I think the way that she kind of took it is interesting and in a way also very Japanese.
Yeah.
But that's not the most interesting thing about this. So that was her first role as an actress under the name Yuri Satomi. However, she doesn't go by that name anymore. So after filming this True Sex Crime File, she changed her name to Yoko Satomi, would later appear in over 140 Pink movies. And fuck me, we know and have watched a lot of the films that she's been in.
Really?
The one that fucking blew my mind.
Yeah.
She was the main actress in Daisuke Yamanouchi's Girl Hell 1999.
What?
Yes.
That's her.
As well as in Kyoko vs. Yuki, as well as being in Noboru Iguchi movies. And I was looking through her letterbox and I was like, oh yeah, Dave's in this, Dave's logged this.
Oh my god.
Right? Her name is Satomi Yoko. And just give her a search. I'm curious to see what % of films you've seen of hers.
I've watched... Oh yeah, I know this actress. Yeah.
That's the fucking woman who got tricked into fucking...
I mean, she's in 71 films listed on Letterboxd, and I've seen 10% of them. Yeah, Girl Hell. She's in Rape Zombie, Lust of the Dead. Pretty terrible movie.
Yep.
Oh, she's in a Teruo Ishii film as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's in Japanese Hell. You know that film? Yeah, Kyoko vs. Yuki.
As the radish eating homeless girl in that?
Right. Oh, she's in an Asami film. Do you know female prisoner Ayaka?
Yeah.
Holy
I like that one.
shit. She's a Ninja Pussycat. Got that on DVD.
Well, hey.
I can't believe it's this.
I know.
This late. The Secret in the Attic, seen that? Wow. Okay. That is mad.
It blew my... I can't believe it.
What the fuck?
So I think she just, after that incident, she stopped being an AV actress and just focused on Pink films, but became this huge Pink actress under a different name. But it's the same person.
Holy shit. Did you find that AV film?
No, it's impossible to find.
Holy shit, yeah. I guess it must have... Like, when's that from? Is like 90s or something?
98.
Right, so I guess it has a VHS.
It has a VHS. I found the jacket, the picture of the jacket of it, but nowhere is selling it online. There's no like secondhand places. It doesn't come up on auctions or anything like that. It's seemingly quite impossible to find.
DV will have it.
I'll ask.
Yeah.
But I just can't believe it's her, because fucking hell, I watched her in Girl Hell 1999 so many years ago.
Yeah.
To then find out it's the same person that was tricked into fucking Issei Sagawa.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yes. Now that brings me on to my next documentary that I watched for this. Cannibal, the French one. What is amazing about this documentary is the two actually have a reunion in it.
Right. So
Issei Sagawa, when he was in very bad health, he had the wish to meet Satomi Yoko one more time. He, put out the word, I want to see her again. They basically kept their friendship, as you said, but they just kind of distance took them apart, and they became estranged for many years. And he had a desire to meet with her one more time. And I was just like, fuck, they're going to have a reunion. And I was like, they're going to talk about that case and the incident and what happened. And yes, unfortunately, it's a real wasted opportunity, because in the documentary Cannibal, they don't really make a point as to who she is.
Right.
And she kind of just appears in like a maid outfit and wheels him around in a wheelchair and talks about her role in, Rape Zombie?
Right.
I was like, this is like the golden opportunity.
Yeah.
Because that true crime porn film, that was such a huge thing and is the biggest thing that everyone takes away from that Vice documentary. And now, however many years later, they're meeting again on film. And obviously you could put it down to Sagawa being in bad health. He can't really talk much. But it's just like, what the fuck am I watching? It's just her why is she in a maid outfit?
Right.
They tried to make her look sexy. Right. And she's just talking about her role in as a rape zombie. That's terrible. I really fucking hated that documentary.
The directors of that are quite interesting. Like, they've made some interesting stuff.
Yeah.
So it's a shame to hear that. Yeah. But I've heard really mixed things about that documentary, because it's, knowing their style, I'm going to assume it's like less concerned with unearthing information and story and more concerned with like a visual approach. That would be what I would assume, knowing what they're like.
Yeah, you're right there. What I did like about it is that they don't spend time just retelling the same story. So they don't go through all the facts and who he is and what he did, but it kind of just starts and he's there in his wheelchair, and he just spends like the entire 90 minutes just mumbling to himself.
Right.
By this point, he's already had a stroke. He's wheelchair bound. He doesn't really make much sense. And it's just him talking to his brother. Again, it's like, there's not enough of anything. They don't tell the same story, which is good, but they don't really tell a new story either. They just look at him and focus on him. And the entire film is out of focus. So it's really close up. Like, insanely close up. 90% of the screen is all out of focus, and it's just him just talking, like mumbling to himself in various languages. And I've seen people's reviews, they say, it's suffocating, it's haunting, and I get that. But for me, hearing someone just mumble nonsense for 90 minutes whilst his little brother talks dog shit alongside of him, it's just not interesting.
Are you going to talk about In the Sea of Trees later?
Oh, we can talk about that now.
I was going to say, so that, I think, is a fucking incredible bit of filmmaking. So In the Sea of Trees...
That was filmed at the same time, wasn't it?
Yeah, In the Sea of Trees was filmed on the set of the really great Sato film, The Eye's Dream, which recently just had a Blu-ray release in Japan.
Great film.
And it's definitely his best of his newer films. Yeah, really, really great film. But on the Blu-ray, there's an extra feature with subtitles as well of this film, In the Sea of Trees, which was directed by Nao Nakazawa.
Okay.
But it's yeah, when he's filming this, it's like the behind the scenes of The I's Dream, but also those directors of what is it? Cannibal are also like filming him as well. But this documentary, it's only 18 minutes and it's just Hisayasu Sato interviewing Sagawa, and I was traumatized by this shot. I don't know how you felt about it, but I couldn't sleep the night that I watched it because I was just so. It made me feel really bad for Sagawa in a way that I didn't want to feel because he's had a stroke, as you said. He's barely comprehensible, and everything he's saying is like this jumbled up version of his life. So at one point, Sato is like asking him about his crime, and he's like, yeah, it was like, a few years ago, like 5 years ago. Yeah. And Sato's like, no, it wasn't. He's like, it was 10 years ago. He's like, no, it was 40 years ago that happened. And he just has no idea, like, who he is or what his life is. And he gets he's like paralyzed at this point too. Yeah. So he's getting carried around, and he's just this broken shell. And it's just the most fucking upsetting, haunting thing I think I've ever seen. Yeah. I really upset me that
it's
that film.
Very full on. Yeah. That is a much better mini documentary than Cannibal is for me. For someone like interested in the story of Issei Sagawa, the Vice documentary is the best one.
Yeah, it's very comprehensive, right?
Yeah, it's 30 minutes long. It tells the story itself with an interview and voiceover of Issei Sagawa with the visuals from the manga. And then at the end we have that excerpt from the porn film. And that's everything you need to know about the incident and then what happens after and how he kind of profited and made his life exploiting the incident. But if you didn't know who Issei Sagawa was and what he had done, if you just put on Cannibal or The Sea of Trees, you're just like, what am I watching?
Yeah.
There's no context. I'm just looking at like a paralyzed man mumble to himself.
Yeah.
You need a little bit of context in there.
Definitely.
So I think if you know the story, then both of those documentaries are great. The Sea of Trees is great, and you might enjoy Cannibal if you can get along with that style of filmmaking. People who I follow on Letterboxd and people whose opinion also I respect, they said Cannibal was absolutely haunting and they loved it, and it just blew them away. So it really is whether you can get involved with that.
Yeah.
Just long periods of nothing with no information.
Yeah.
And if you can enter that world without feeling fucking bored and your fingers twitching, you're pressing the fast forward button, you might enjoy it if you know the story. But for me, no.
Watching it in 3 times speed.
Oh, dude, I skipped forward quite a lot. I did. Anyway, so back to the movie. We now cut to Sagawa getting out the shower.
We get the full effect of his baby body,
we get
giant head,
the full power of his underpants.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He comes out naked from the shower and then puts on his like oversized wife.
I don't even know where they sell those underpants. They're massive.
It's outrageous, and he really, really looks like a fucking big baby in a nappy. I cannot stress to you how much he looks like a baby in a nappy.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's in a hotel room, right? And there's a knock at the door, and Rachel / Ingrid, I don't know what she is at this point in time. I guess this is Ingrid because this is part of the story with the film.
Yeah. And you know what? I didn't even realize this for the first time I watched it. Going back to before all those tangents where he calls the cool girl the Dutch girl, I didn't realize that this is supposed to be the Dutch girl that comes in. I was like, Rachel's back, because we've seen her so many times.
Sure.
Before this point.
But now she's in Dutch girl Ingrid mode, I guess. Yeah. And she looks pretty shocked and unhappy to see him. They sit down and they're talking in English at this point. She slaps him immediately. Yeah,
but before he says, "Don't worry, I won't despise you."
Yeah,
I don't know what the fuck.
I don't know
that's supposed to mean.
That means he receives a slap.
He does,
for saying that.
It's a bit of a weak slap.
Yeah, it's very weak. It's very acted out. Right? she demands her 50,000 yen from him. They're having this conversation about her different jobs, and the whole time she's very like dismissive of him. He's trying to ask her if it's her first time at the hotel, and she's refusing to answer. Yeah, he mentions her being from Holland and all this sort of stuff. And in her words, she just says, I want to get this over and done with. She just wants to get on with the sex that they've paid for and just move on. She doesn't want this small talk bullshit.
Yeah. She's not interested. He's just trying to make small talk. He's just trying to lighten the mood.
He's just trying to lighten the mood.
He's like, you've been here before? And she's like, why do you care?
He asks to take off her clothes, but she just does it herself.
Yeah.
Just gets on with it. We get a little dissolve, and they're naked in bed. And it's so grim, this whole scene. He asks if he can kiss her body, and she's like, go on, just get on with it. Get on with it.
Just hurry up. Do what you need to do so I can leave.
And he takes out a condom, and it's just like very bleak.
Oh, and there's a bit of text on screen. It's like, he doesn't even have a hard on yet, and he's just desperately trying to like slap this condom on.
Yeah, it's so gross. And he takes off the sheets, and fucking hell, it's so upsetting. He like crawls on top of her. In my notes, I've got it, crawls on top of her like a grim baby. And at this point, Ingrid, or should I say Rachel, stops the scene and walks off. And again, she's like, it's so hot. It's so hot. Turn on the bloody air conditioning. It's bloody hot in here. And this again, I'm like, is this real? Is this...
Again, yeah.
I don't know.
This is a real difficult one to figure out.
It's really hard to tell. It's very confusing. And then... So then it sort of cuts back to the same scene again, and they do the same scene with him taking off the sheets and crawling on top of her and kissing her, and she's clearly hating this. And she keeps stopping the filming and talking to the camera, and she's like, I just want him to hurry up and get on with this. And she wants him to stop asking for things and just get on with it and do it himself. Then he ends up flipping her over and starts like kissing her back and butt, which is just not an image I want to see. Not her butt, no disrespect to her butt, but full disrespect to baby Sagawa. And he's just like fucking crawling over the bed like a fucking little monster. And then he just says like, I can't do it. I can't erect. I can't erect. I wish we could have the audio clip for that. That'd be great after the credits one. I can't erect.
We can say it after the credits.
Yeah, we'll just say it. I can't erect.
Yeah, and she keeps saying like, you're wasting your time. I'm not going to give you your money back. I guess I'm just going to go then. And she goes to the bathroom, and she has a little like smirky remark. She's like, it wasn't that good anyway.
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
You haven't fucking done anything yet. What are you talking about?
It's weird as well, because like the translator's also in the scene. So it's like a scene, but then the translator's like whispering lines to her. Like,
right.
It's so confusing. Very confusing. I would love to know what's real and what's not.
And then he talks to the camera, and he's like, she slapped me away. Like, you know, I can't get it up. You know, she's clearly not having fun. Like, I can't just get her fucking hard on and do it. She's clearly not having a good time. And they apparently talk after. It's like the camera operator and the producer and Sagawa, and they're talking about her. She's kind of in the background, and she's like, well, like, she wasn't complying. Like, this is business. So she's here to fucking do work, and she's not complying, so we can't pay her.
Isn't he saying like, oh, Japanese women, they'll go through with it, but white women don't? It's like, that was bleak.
Yeah, but and then so they're basically saying we're not going to pay you for this.
Yeah, which again is like, is that Ingrid or is it the real thing with Rachel? Oh god!
But it seems so real because he's. You can tell when there's like the acting scenes, because her acting is hammy as fuck.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Really hammy.
Yeah.
But the scenes where she keeps like shouting cut and going to the bathroom and like
they're very real. Yeah.
And even when she was like shrugging him off, it seems quite forced at times. But some of them just do not feel forced.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's quite upsetting. But yeah, apparently they're just like, yeah, we're not going to pay you for this because you're here to fuck and you're not creating an atmosphere where he can fuck.
Oof.
Deary me. After that, so that scene ends and we cut to Sagawa at a table reading a letter that he has written about the entire situation with Rachel. And he just basically just goes over everything that happened previously, and he ends with it saying that he hates forcing women to do what they don't want to do.
Interesting.
And to force someone into doing something they don't want to do would also be a burden on him. According to his words. Whether we can believe that or not is another story.
Yeah.
Then, suddenly, we get a phone call. It's like a black screen. The phone rings, and we hear Sagawa pick up the phone, and he's speaking in English. And he's saying, "Hi, Ingrid." So to the character now, yeah. Yeah. "Hi, Ingrid. I thought I'd never see you again. I want to show you something. I'm waiting for you." And then this is probably where we get our most, like, cinematic scene. We have, like, water dripping from the pipes. The two are in the bed. There's a birthday cake that says, "Happy birthday, Ingrid." They blow out the candles. They pop some champagne. It's very happy. A complete 180 from the previous scene.
Yeah, it feels like a strange kind of fantasy scene. And she says a line to him that maybe you can correct this, because it doesn't make any sense.
Nope.
But she says, "It doesn't matter how ugly or short or how much of a yellow monkey you are." Is that what she says?
She says, "It doesn't matter how ugly, short, or how much I look like a yellow monkey."
I look like a yellow monkey.
And I was like, wait, what?
Is that, she said I?
Yeah.
Okay.
She says, "Yeah, it doesn't matter how much I look like a yellow monkey. Once you fall in love with me, it'll be forever."
Yeah, so none of that computes.
Nope. Don't get it. I wonder if she was supposed to say you?
Probably. Yeah.
And then Sagawa says, "Skinny shite. Just do as you like. Do as you like to me." And she looks at the camera man off screen. She says, like, "What?" And then they all have a laugh.
Yeah.
They all, like, I mean, Sagawa's clearly in the moment. He's like, "Oh, just do as you please."
Yeah.
We have a weird, like, freeze frame of everyone laughing. It's like a joyous, happy moment. Cue the music. She's now on top of him.
Stripping him off.
Undresses him.
Handcuffs him. And then the fucking disgusting moment here. She grabs the cake, chews it up in her mouth, and spits it into his mouth, and then sort of rubs it all. And it's like a fucking white creamy cake, right? Rubbing it all over him. That is fucking disgusting. Then she's like pouring lotion over his stomach and crotch.
Yep.
And rubbing his tiny willy. and starts blowing him, but it's kind of off camera, right?
Yeah.
So I guess it's not real. And then she's straddling him on top of him, and Sagawa's just, when she's on top of him, Sagawa's just like staring off into space, and he's kind of like wincing.
Yep.
And it's very, very
Did you get
grim
what the
stuff.
text said on
No,
this?
what does the text say?
So as you said, so she's riding him, and he's just not looking very impressed. And on the text on screen, it says she's just grabbing my dick and making sure it doesn't go inside.
Oh,
So as she's riding him, you can see her hand around her crotch area. I think she was just grabbing his dick, so it doesn't go inside her.
right,
So the whole thing was just pantomimed.
right, okay. And then we get a gross cutaway to him cooking some shabu shabu again.
Oh, we're in sukiyaki land now.
Oh, this is sukiyaki.
Yeah.
Right. And he's got this disgusting meat being cooked. It's such a gross cut. It's like
It's a really dark,
and
like dingy little kitchen. Yeah.
And then close up. And hey, I love, was it sukiyaki?
I love a bit of sukiyaki.
It's great, but I don't want to see that in the same scene as Issei Sagawa and also some gross, like, cakey covered sex as well.
You know what?
It's not fun to see.
I can't get on board with cake sex.
Yeah.
You can't. Food is for eating. Don't bring it into the bedroom.
And there's a lot of that in this.
There is.
More later on as well.
There's even more in the AV version.
Oof, no thank you. And yet he's in his underwear and an apron cooking this. And then did the title say there's not enough meat?
Exactly, yeah. Not enough meat in this. So it says it twice. He said, "I feel there's not enough meat in this dish."
There's not enough meat! It's a very intense title. And he goes... It's, again, like full fantasy at this moment. he goes back to where Rachel or Ingrid or whoever it is in this moment, and he's got a chainsaw.
Yeah.
And he chainsaws her, big blood splatter.
Yes.
And then it cuts to a TV showing this chainsawing incident.
Yeah.
And we see Rachel or Ingrid turning the TV off. And then we cut to Sagawa, and he's got his throat cut or his head's been cut off or whatever. But then it crossfades into Rachel being dead. It's like, okay, what the fuck's going on? There's no sound in this scene from this point on. Sagawa crawls onto the bed with his fucking nappy on. Yeah, he flips her over, so she's dead there. Flips her over and he starts trying to bite her butt. And I guess, like in real life, couldn't break the skin with his actual teeth. And he goes and gets a butcher knife again, like in real life. And then he comes back and starts cutting her butt. And I was kind of shocked by this effect because it looks
good, right?
very real.
Yeah.
I was very taken aback by how good and frightening this looks.
The fleshy butt and the meat inside, it looks really fucking good.
Pretty
as far as practical effects go.
Intense,
yeah. So yeah, he cuts her open, spreads the flesh, and kind of just like reaches in, takes a bit of butt meat out, and just kind of starts eating it.
Yeah. Ugh. Oh, and then
this thing is fucked.
Oh god! Like, so this is all silent as well, and then when he gulps, the sound comes back, and then we just cut to this absolutely demented wide shot, which reminded me a lot of Red Account.
It's very Red Accounty. Yeah,
he's surrounded by guts, blood and guts, and he's just masturbating furiously,
jerking off around guts.
Oh god! And then he takes the knife and cut mid-wank.
Yeah.
Cuts his own dick off, and his dick goes rolling away, and Rachel picks it up, eats it, and has a bit of a laugh after eating that dick.
That's madness.
Absolutely insane. And then it gets even crazier, though, because then we cut to a black and white shot of Sagawa's, like, floating head.
Yeah.
Like, decapitated head just floating about, and he says, thanks for eating me.
Yeah.
And then cuts to Rachel, and she's like, thanks for letting me eat you.
Yeah. He says, was I delicious?
Oh, yeah. She says he almost made her throw up.
Yeah. And then he says, thank you.
Yeah.
These two floating heads talking.
Oh, what the fuck?
I mean, that's like the climax of the film. But that him just like jerking off surrounded by guts.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so disgusting. And the dick cutting scene, you get like a massive spray of like dick blood.
Yeah, it's horrible.
But he has said on like multiple occasions that he has a strong desire to be eaten by a woman. So I guess that's him just playing out his fantasy. Ingrid or Rachel just eating his red little dick.
Ugh.
So that's kind of the end of the cinematic stuff. After that, we get another interview with him talking to the camera, and he says, I've dated a lot of white women up until this point, but he says they're mostly just after money. They only care about money, the old white women. And he says that his love for white women has dwindled down, and now he's more interested in Japanese women.
And this is something he also says in the Vice documentary a lot. And there's something about this that I find very unsettling, because it almost feels, the feeling I get whenever he says this stuff, he's like, oh, I used to be crazy and obsessed with white women, but now I'm okay. Now I'm into Japanese women, so it's fine. And it's almost like, it feels to me like he's blaming like some white fever that he had on him murdering and eating a woman, and it's really gross.
Yeah.
I find this whole thing that he has very grim and disgusting. Yeah. But it's like a running thing with him.
It really is.
He always wants to point this out.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, now I like Japanese women, so now I'm okay.
I'm okay now, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does say that in the Vice documentary. He says he loves Okinawan women especially.
Right.
And he's like, he has this like fucking poster on the wall of some Okinawan actress or singer or idol, and he's like, I just want to crawl up into her armpit and die.
Fuck off, mate.
Funnily enough, the AV version starts with this scene. So the AV version starts with him talking about how he's not interested in white women anymore and wants Japanese women. And then we go on to that photo shoot at the beginning where Rachel Ingrid quits halfway through, and then it goes on to the next scene that's in this, where we have the Japanese actress who he fucks. So back to the movie version, we're in a park. There's a Japanese woman there, and they're kind of drinking, or they meet there, and they go home, they drink wine together, they're on the bed, and the Japanese lady is like, so how's the filming going? So just referencing, talking about this movie. And he's just like, I don't want to talk about it. Talk shit about white women again.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I've not been with a Japanese woman since I got out of the hospital. And apparently, this Japanese lady, she works as a prostitute or SM prostitute. Strips down, really happy music plays.
Silly as fuck music.
They get naked, they kiss, they play with food and shit.
Let's really, make... this is disgusting.
Oh, it really is.
I really cannot tell you how gross this was for me. So, absolutely fucking disgusting making out. Like him just like sucking on her face. And she's also a tall lady as well.
Yeah.
So it really does look like you're just watching a fucking baby kiss a woman, which is disgusting. And he's like, licking cream off her boobs and then sucking on her toes. And she's like scrubbing him down in the bath.
Yep.
And then like cradling him like a fucking baby in the bath and then making out with him again. And I was just like, fuck this shit. This is grosser than anything else, other than maybe the pube eating scene. This was the most disgusting thing.
Oh, then you should be thankful you didn't watch the AV version.
Oh, it's mostly this.
Because, this is the main scene.
Right.
And it only gets worse and worse from there. So this extends into a full-on bondage scene. So he's now in fucking like shibari bondage. So he's like tied up with rope and stuff. And she's in like some fucking weird black PVC Santa suit for some reason.
Oh, now I want to see this.
Oh no, this is so much grosser because it goes on to like feeling like spit play. So they're spitting in each other's mouths. There's candle wax play. There's piss play. So she's got like him in between her legs and just like pissing in his mouth. Oh, it's horrible. And then after that, in the AV version, that's where we get the sukiyaki eating Ingrid scene. But what's really weird here, you know that that chainsaw scene? So in the AV version, it's inverted.
Right.
Yeah, so to not be too graphic.
Right.
And the scene where he is jerking off around all the guts are mosaicked out.
Right.
So they don't show any of the gory stuff.
Sure.
But there's like real full-on sex stuff, which is even more disgusting. And that's kind of where the AV ends. So it's mostly just him fucking the Japanese woman and things going bad with Ingrid.
Why'd they bother to make these two versions?
I don't know. Doesn't make sense. So after that horrible bath scene, we see the camera operator talking to the Japanese actress, and he says, "Will you sing a song for Sagawa?" So she sings some song for him for some reason. And then we cut back to him in his little nappy eating something by the side of the tracks. And this is where we finally see what he's actually eating. And I think...
Oh, I didn't know what it was. So what is it?
I think it's an urn. And I think he's supposed to be eating his own bones.
Okay, that
or
makes
someone's
sense,
bones. But I think he has an urn.
Okay, yeah. Because I was like, what the fuck is this that he's eating? That makes a lot of sense. Because it's like a little pot, right?
Yeah.
What a cunt. Fuck you, Issei Sagawa. I'll never forget. We've talked about it before, but Sato talking about going to his funeral. And like talking about Sagawa. And we were all just like, oh, very sad. And inside we're like, it's fucking Issei Sagawa. He's the rotten man. Yeah. Oh, God.
Oh, it's bizarre. Yeah. We get the credits, which is when I found, the Ingrid and Rachel thing, which just finally made a lot of things click for me. But what is interesting, which answers a few questions, there's a letter at the end of the credits in the movie version from Sagawa. And it says, he had a plot for the story, but it kept getting disrailed by the white actress.
Oh.
So that is why there is a documentary-like touch to this movie.
Wow. Okay, so it's probably all real?
There's a lot of real stuff in here, yeah.
Oh my god. I really want to know who that woman is.
Yeah, I wish I had the answer for that, but unfortunately no. But what is interesting is, you know how I said the movie version, the director is billed as Yamachi Noboru, the mountain climber?
Yeah.
In the AV version, the director is listed as Nekura Doji, who is a famous SM porn director. And he is credited as one of the writers in the movie version.
Right. Okay.
Which is interesting. But then also, at the end of the movie version, we have a kind of trailer or teaser to the AV version.
Yeah.
So it seems like the movie version came out first, and then the AV version came out later, because it's like, AV version out in June or something like that. It's like a very specific date. So I wonder, is it just the same director and he, I don't know, changed his name halfway through or something? I don't know. But at least the AV version is definitely directed by Nekura Doji. However, they're all pretty much just the same scenes.
Right.
They're all pretty much the same scenes.
So he's probably the director of this under a pseudonym.
We can only assume, yeah.
For some reason. Wow.
So, yeah, after that, let's have a quick mention of what's happened in recent times for Sagawa. In 2013, he was hospitalized with a cerebral infraction, which permanently damaged his nervous system. After that, he lived alone, needed daily assistance, which was provided by his younger brother or from caregivers, and he died from pneumonia at the age of 73 in 2022. So he's done. Probably the last documented interview we saw was probably The Sea of Trees, I'd imagine, or maybe Cannibal. They
about the same time, right?
Filmed at the same time. And then, as you just mentioned, Hisayasu Sato said that he went to the funeral and he was one of 5 people there. Yeah. It seems like a very sad, lonely funeral.
Yeah.
Bit of a sad case. Now, it's weird, because you mentioned as well, like, after watching that Sea of Trees, you kind of felt like some kind of, like, you feel bad for him at times. Yeah. And during this week where I've watched all these documentaries related to him, I also felt that, especially when watching that Sagawa-kun's Week documentary. Because even though, like, what he did is completely reprehensible, and it's just awful, and exploiting the incident, the case, is just something that you can never really agree or sympathize with. It seems like he just never really had a choice, because he got discharged or forced to leave the hospital, and he was making all these newspaper headlines, and even though he was trying to get honest work as like a translator or use like whatever history he had or qualifications he did achieve before the incident, no one was hiring him because he was already too old, which is a thing in Japan. I don't know if you've heard about this in Japan. They say, like, if you hit like 40 years old, you're almost unemployable.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
I'm close to that.
Don't change your job.
Oh.
Yeah. And that Sagawa's Week, that really put a focus on that. Because people say, like, you're already this age, and sorry, like, we can't help you. And obviously, it was a piece of shit, and he did exploit that. But there are times where I'm just like, fuck, if that was me in that situation, yeah, I'd take the work. Take the work that's offered to you when no one else is giving you work. And it really kind of put me in this, like, if it was me, what would I do? State of mind.
But I guess you wouldn't have eaten a woman.
No, I wouldn't be in that situation in the first place.
But I know what you mean. Like, it doesn't... The kind of post-murder exploitation of his crime doesn't feel so much like it's him doing it, but the Japanese media and all these companies that cashed in on him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, when I watched that Vice documentary, even just from watching that, the main thing I took away was like my disgust in the companies that made those products, like that porn film, even more so than him.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's just obviously a sick, or was a sick, odd man. But the real evil is that exploitation of his crime and the death of that woman, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's completely unforgivable, and you can't justify anything there, yeah. But it kind of feels like most people's hate for him is more focused on the fact that he was basically given freedom and then exploited the fact rather than the actual act of killing and eating someone itself.
Yeah.
That's just what I think.
Yeah.
But what's another thing that's funny is that how a lot of the crimes and really sensational cases in Japan are somewhat connected in a way. So I mentioned how he was basically refused work anywhere he went, not for being Issei Sagawa, just because he was just, I don't know, refused work. The first offer he got after being released from hospital was to write an article about Tsutomu Miyazaki. Do you know who that is?
No.
He was dubbed as the otaku killer.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So he was... this is a really awful incident. He abducted and killed girls aged 4 to 7, dismembered them, molested them, and also ate parts of them, preserved body parts as trophies, and used them to taunt the families of the victims. Awful guy. He was one of the reasons why the Guinea Pig series was so infamous, because they found one of the tapes in his home. The otaku killer had just been sentenced to death the year that Issei Sagawa was released or got out of the asylum. So they called him to write an article.
Right.
Because they were essentially both cannibals, I don't know. And they decided, a magazine decided to get Issei Sagawa's opinion. And so it was kind of his choice, like, right, I write an article, make money about it, or I kind of just lay down and die. So he wrote the article, and that kind of just became a thing. He started writing all these articles, appearing in movies and porn films, and this was during the bubble era of Japan. So he was saying that back in those days, they would ask him to be in a movie and would throw down like 40,000 yen or 50,000 yen for a role in a movie. And that's, I mean, to put it into perspective, now that would be about 4 or 5 months rent in today's money. So back then, that's a huge amount of cash.
Yeah.
So when someone, obviously it's getting into dangerous territory. I'm not defending the cunt because he's a cunt. But for someone who's being refused honest work to then be offered, 5 months rent to appear in a fuck film or write an article, you're going to take it. Doesn't matter who you are. You're going to take it. You're going to exploit it because it's either that or die, which is it's a crazy thing.
Yeah.
So he wrote these articles, which started with the article about the otaku killer. And then it actually, even though he was sentenced to death, I think it was at 97, was it? I can't remember exactly. It wasn't until 2008 when the otaku killer was actually put to death. And the only reason for that was to distract the public's attention from the Akibahara stabbing.
Right.
Do you remember when that happened?
Yeah.
So that happened in 2008. A mad man went around the Akibahara district, stabbed a load of people. Again, he got sentenced to death, but he wasn't actually executed until 2022. But because of this sensational news, I think it was Japan's way of just give the public something because they're demanding some action to be taken.
Sure.
So it wasn't until then where they finally executed the otaku killer. But it's just crazy how all these really sensational cases in Japan are somewhat linked. And Japan being a very, very safe place in general, we've spoken about it a lot of times, there's not a lot of low-rate crime. But when there is crime, it's fucking nuts.
Yeah, we've talked about that before, right? Like, it's always just these absolutely demented crimes that pop up from time to time.
Yeah, and the Issei Sagawa one probably being one of the most, if not the most, sensational of them all.
Definitely, yeah.
So there you have it.
Wow.
I want to eat you. Tabetai.
That was a deep dive.
That was a deep dive, yeah.
Wow.
So, wrongometer?
Wrongometer. How wrong the film is, how fucked up it is, how much it shouldn't exist. This is a very easy one for me.
Yeah.
Of course it's a 10.
Gotta be a 10.
It's a film written by a man who killed and ate someone and has written a film essentially about that. And not only that, like, it's a demented, weird hybrid, half documentary, half narrative. And the fact that you can see the actress in the film being visibly distressed being around him just adds to it. It's definitely a 10.
Yeah.
There's no way it couldn't be a 10.
Nah. It's a 10. It's a 10.
It's a 10. Whew. Here we go.
There you go. That was a long episode.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, follow us on Instagram. Show me something wrong on Instagram. Follow us on X if you want, SMSW Podcast. Send us an email. We've got our 50th episode coming up soon.
Hey.
Before that, we're going to do a Q&A, so shoot us through some questions if you want, but we're posting that on Instagram. And yeah, do the reviews. Got a nice review from someone actually.
Oh, recently.
Did we? Yeah, should I just very quickly give a shout out to that person from Headless 95.
Thanks, Headless 95.
Headless 95 gave us a lovely review, 5-star review.
Hey.
So yeah, please give us more of those on Apple Podcasts and Spotify as well. Now,
what are we doing next time?
So we've talked about probably one of the most fucked up things we've talked about, at least in a while, this Sagawa film. Probably this and End of the Wicked are the most fucked up things we've talked about. We're going into the opposite end of the spectrum of things we talk about.
Good.
We're going to talk about maybe the dumbest thing we've ever talked about. So,
Can I just ask, what's been the dumbest film we've spoken about so far?
Probably Big Money Rustlers.
Oh, yeah. I blocked that one out, yeah.
Sagawa is like sandwiched between the two dumbest things we're ever going to talk about. So yeah, next time we're going to Hong Kong. We're going to Hong Kong to 1992.
Okay.
Great year for Hong Kong. We're going to talk about the film Talk to Me, Dickie.
Dickie. Is that like a penisy Dickie?
It's a penisy Dickie.
Oh.
And the Hong Kong title has an exclamation mark at the end.
Okay.
Which I think we should include when we post the episode as well.
Are you going to say the Hong Kong title?
I don't fucking know what it is, mate. I can't read that at all.
It's got an exclamation mark.
I can only read the exclamation mark. So that's what we're going to be talking about next time. One of the dumbest things we'll ever talk about.
There you go. Talk to me, Dickie. what are we going to finish this off with? I can't erect.
I can't erect.